She's
Okay.
really doing a lot of that.
Okay,
Well,
ready for Marilyn?
okay.
Okay. A lot of these overlap because some of the fun
Yeah.
things, involve the two of them. Marilyn, probably one of our early photos that we recall of her is back in the Orland house again. She fell asleep. She didn't like to take her naps too well, but she would get so tired, and one time we found her just sound asleep about a third of the way up the stairway, just leaning on the stair and sound asleep. We'll have to try to find that one.
The Orland house it was 1060 Orland. That's the first house we lived in Idaho Falls. It was actually called as Bishop when we were still living there, and then we built the Homer house a little bit later. A couple of things I remember about Marilyn as a baby, when she was younger. Particularly when we got to Tonga, I remember of her wanting to go to school at the Tonga High School side school. So it was the Tonga High School, but it was the side school. And you talk about that picture of her on the steps. I always see her with her teacher under a great big, I suppose a banyan tree of some sort, of she and her teacher standing there. And I took the picture. The teacher wanted a copy of it, but I remember of Marilyn just being so happy, just with all these friends and with all this, and with this teacher, and the fact that the teacher really liked her, you could tell, and she really liked the teacher. It was just that's one of my early memories of Marilyn.
One of her
Everyone
friends,
seemed to like her, and she liked to.
Her little friend Nada went to that school
Nada
too,
Peart.
Nada Peart. And they lived just on the corner right next to us. So she
Yeah.
was a fun little playmate, often would come, but they were originally from Australia?
Australia, yeah. And not only Nada, but what was the name of the little Tongan girl?
Tuifua?
No, the one with the crutches.
Oh, well, that was
Can't remember.
Te Lucia.
Te Lucia, yeah.
And that was well, for all the girls, Nancy, Liz, Marilyn, and Jane was a little young then, but the first year or so after we'd been in Tonga, we had a little Tongan girl who had been sent here to Primary Children's Hospital for some surgery come, and they didn't want her to go back to her village right direct because of sanitation and make sure that she adjusted well, and she had leg braces on, and so we kept her in the mission home, and she lived there with us for several months,
Yeah.
I think. But the girls were so sweet with her, they just took her in as a sister, and I think that helped them learn extra compassion and understanding, and they felt really close to Telu. In fact, she was about Nancy's age and had not been baptized yet, so, or a little older. She was a year older than Nancy. So when Nancy was baptized in Hawaii, Telu went with us, and she was baptized at the same time as Nancy.
Yeah.
So it was a nice memory. But back to Marilyn, I remember before even we went to Tonga that when we lived in the Orland house that Christmas, one of the Christmases there, my dad, Grandpa Sabin, made some really fun boxes, wooden boxes that nested together. They were open through, so there was kind of, they could build like a tunnel. And he painted bright red, yellow, and green. I think there were 3 of them, just nested sizes. And that was one of Marilyn's fun places. They would make like tunnels and crawl through them and pile them up, and had a lot of fun playing in the boxes that Grandpa Sabin made. Another thing that Marilyn had in those early years was an imaginary friend. And she just was with her whenever she needed her, this little friend, and she called her Susie. That was long before we had our own Sue. But she had Susie there for a number of support issues. And it was quite fun. One time, Dad had developed a nickname for Marilyn, called her Badarrel.
Meryl Badarrel.
Because we would use shorten Marilyn to Merrill, so he called her Meryl Badarrel. And she informed him one day, she says, "No, don't call me, I'm not Badarrel, I'm Basooz."
One of my memories of Marilyn was just how gregarious she was. She just seemed to always have friends, and yet she was happy to be by herself. And it wasn't a problem, you know. It was just, but I do remember having that feeling that I didn't need to worry about Marilyn.
This was before Tonga too, this was in '64. So September, she was just before turning 2. She was playing with a little toy kitten, and she pointed out this is the eyes and the nose and the ears and stuff. And she would say, "Nice kitty eyes and nice kitty nose." And I said, "Where are the kitty's eyes?" She would point to it. And when we came to where's the kitty's tail, she pointed to the tail, kitty's tail. Then she stopped and got a serious look and stopped and turned around and tried to see her own back. She says, "Where my tail?" She wanted a new suitcase, meaning a pillowcase for her pillow. She called it a suitcase. And when she didn't quite understand things, she wanted to understand better. She said, "I can't know."
Okay,
Okay.
well, let's move on to Jane. Oh,
Yeah, I wanted to read this while we're still on Marilyn. This was when Marilyn was 4, November of '66, so we were just back from Tonga.
No, just
Oh, wait, this
ready
is,
to go to Tonga.
oh, yeah.
We left in '66.
And this was, oh, I'm sorry. This was when we were in Tonga. Marilyn was 3.5. And she said, "I wish Grandma could come here, and Aunt Bethy, because of her voice." I still remember her voice. Beth was such a beautiful, and she was, what, in high school then?
Yeah.
It's really good. It's so beautiful. Excuse me. I have to take a break on that one. She said, "It's really good. It's so beautiful. We can't sing with her voice because it's her voice and not ours. If we had her voice, it wouldn't be her voice. It would be our voice. And she wouldn't have a voice. Mama, you couldn't have my voice and Gail's voice, because then we wouldn't have any voices at all, and you would have 3 voices." And then came a pause and deep thought on her, expression on her face. "Mama, how do our voices get out of our hearts?"
Oh, that's neat. That's awesome. I love it.
All right. Well, let's go on to,
Should I do one
Yeah,
more here?
sure.
This was the day after Nancy's baptism. We were in Hawaii. Excuse me. And Marilyn said, "I want to wash now, Mama." "Okay, Marilyn, I want to wash too, so my spirit can get clean."
Oh, that's sweet.
I'm gonna have to